Hey everybody, this is Tracy with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here tonight to recap Greenleaf Season 2, Episode 1, which was titled A House Divided, and Oprah brought it tonight. Okay, not only with the storyline, but with her portrayal of Mavis. So let's get started. Uncle Mac then turned on the Greenleafs. So they pick up where they left off last season, where the detectives bring Mac to the Greenleafs' house. And they go inside to talk to the Greenleafs. And so Lady Mae is just devastated that they burned down the church and that the man Darryl Green died. So Grace runs out after Uncle Mac to confront him, but he puts her in her place real quick, says he has enough dirt on everyone in that town and that he may lose his shirt, but he will still walk away a free man. I was like, all right, Daddy Mike. So Aunt Mavis is awakened by a salesperson wanting to know why she hasn't ordered in a while. And so she goes off on the guy telling him that it's Sunday morning, but the reason she hasn't ordered anything is because her club closed down. So she hangs up the phone, and then there's somebody in the house with her, but Aunt Mavis looked like she'd been drinking since the club closed. And here comes this fine brother named Alonzo, and he's walking through the house half naked, playing the guitar. And then he goes over to the side of the bed and takes out a bottle of Oxycontin and offers some to Aunt Mavis, but she said that she don't do Oxycontin. Grace is up in the pulpit, and she's raising the offering, and she's trying to get the members to fill out their pledge cards, because you know churches are always raising money for something. So they're trying to get these pledges in, but the people aren't acting right and aren't filling out the pledge cards. And so Lady Mae catches up with Grace after the sermon, and she tells her that it was a good message, but unfortunately the people were forcibly uninspired by it. So I was like, I see she coming with it again in season 2. Grace ain't gonna get a break. So it's been 3 months since the bishop was arrested, and turns out that the pledges are down. You know, like I said, they was begging for money in church, and Lady Mae, you know, she blames Grace for it, and she tells Grace that her terrible pride is going to be her downfall. So the bishop tells Lady Mae the fire was an accident, you know, when she asks him about it later. And so she sashays down to breakfast with a brave face on, and the bishop follows after her a few minutes later. And he's talking about returning to the pulpit as Grace excuses herself from the table and go do whatever it was that she had to do. And then Charity is outside on the veranda having breakfast with Carlton and his man, who happens to be Kyle from Living Single. And I think he's gay in real life, so I guess he's like really out of the closet now. So they are talking about bringing in Marvin Sapp as a fundraiser, because I guess Calvary is doing really bad financially. And we learned that one of the twins died, you know, when she had that episode last season after her man told her that he liked other men. So Charity is rehearsing a song with some good-looking guy, and he tells her that he's going to help her do something. So I'm thinking she's trying to put a CD together or something, because he asked her how many completed songs did she have, and she said she had 11, and he told her he would help her with the project. So Kevin walks in, and I don't know if he's jealous about this guy whose name is actually Jabari, or if he's feeling him. Like he thought he was good looking. But I know if my man told me that he liked other men, that no man could come in his presence and I wouldn't be questioning, like, what is he really thinking? And then with Charity, you really don't know, you know, how to take these men, because her radar still seems to be a little off. So we can't really say, well, he was a really good looking man, but you know, Charity was all up in his face. But like I say, we don't know what be going on with her. Kevin tells the guy to leave so he could talk to his wife, and then afterwards he questions Charity as to why she is at the church and not at home on bed rest, because I guess the other baby is due at any moment. And poor Kevin, he can't get any respect from his wife, because I believe she told him to shut up or be quiet after he asked her that question. Grace and Sophia, you know, they're discussing whether or not the bishop is guilty, and Sophia is saying that, you know, he must be, because he won't say that he didn't do it. And then Grace was pretty much agreeing that if he wasn't guilty, he would just come out and say, I didn't do it. But the fact that he won't say that, she doesn't know what to believe or what to think. And then Lady May walks past them, and Sophia asks if she's going to the groundbreaking ceremony, because remember, Basie Skanks owns the land across the street, and he was supposed to have been building a new church there. So they're having this big event to break ground on the construction. And so Lady May says she'd rather eat glass than to go over there. We move over to the groundbreaking ceremony, and there's a guy there, and he's singing some of, I believe it was the performer Travis Green singing his songs, but his name was Isaiah Hambret or something like that. And when he's done, Jacob, he comes out to talk to the crowd, and Jacob has really stepped his game up. It was actually sounding kind of pastorly. And so he introduces Basie Skanks, and meanwhile, Basie Skanks' wife, Tasha, who I don't think we met in the last season, is whispering in Carissa's ear that she thinks that Jacob is kind of hot, so Carissa know her man can't be trusted, so she didn't take kindly or think that that was a compliment. Basie Skanks is just doing the most as usual, as he's thanking everyone. Then he gives major props to Jacob, and he surprises Jacob by telling the audience that it was his intention to move Triumph from downtown to this particular lot. And he has decided that instead of moving the main church, that he's going to build a second church, and he is naming Jacob the senior pastor at the new church. And so Jacob is like in a state of shock as Basie introduces Kirk Franklin. So then we get a little glimpse of Kirk Franklin performing. And Lord, that Basie is a trip. He is a stone trip. Now Jacob is going to be preaching across the street from Calvary. I thought it was funny how half of Calvary was also at this groundbreaking ceremony, and Bishop Greenleaf himself attended as well. Lady May and Mike have a showdown in the parking lot, and she's not really happy with him, and she tells him to leave her alone, don't come back, and that they are no longer family. But he's looking at her and tells her that she'll need him one day, so he's not worried. Aunt Mavis and Alonzo, they go to a bar, and the bar isn't open, or it just doesn't have any customers. And it looked a lot like her bar that was closed down, but there's a guy there, and he tells her, he's the bartender, and he tells her that he's not allowed to serve her any alcohol. So then she says, okay, well, don't serve it to me, serve it to him. And then she orders a double of what she had ordered the first time. So the guy brings her the drink, and then her and Alonzo end up getting into an argument when he gets a phone call or text from someone. And she's thinking that it is a management person from some record company that's trying to sign him, but he insists that it is not. But Mavis is convinced that it is, so the two of them get to arguing. And then next thing we know, Bishop Greenleaf shows up because the bartender has given him a call and told him that Mavis was passed out in the bar. So Alonzo had then left her there, and she's over there with an empty bottle of liquor. And I'm just like, oh my God, Oprah, what are you going through? And so he wakes her up, and she tells her that he's going to take her home. And so they're sitting outside her house, and she's telling Bishop Greenleaf, or as she refers to him, by his first name, James, that she discovered Alonzo and was teaching him the business, but that isn't why she started by drinking again, and that the drinking was over losing her club and the way that Mike had treated her. And so he asked her if Alonzo knows that the last time she was in, drinking and couldn't stop drinking, that she almost died. And she said, I think she said that he didn't know. So Mavis goes into the house, and Alonzo's in the bed asleep like nothing's going on. And she sits down on the side of the bed and takes out the Oxycontin. And Oprah, don't do it. Don't, bad enough you drinking, don't start taking the pills too, because we can't lose you on this show. So we don't need you to get your act together and get it together real quick. Grace goes to meet with Connie regarding the pledges being down, and she thinks it's her dad's pending charges that's causing people not to want to commit to putting in the pledges. And so Connie tells her that it's not her father's pending charges, but it's their gay choir director, and how he's flouncing around, him and his husband, and all this carrying on and all on Facebook, like it's no big deal and that being gay isn't a sin. And so Grace says that she doesn't understand what the problem is because he didn't get married at the church. And then Connie says, well, no, he didn't get married at the church, but Charity sung at the wedding. So that's like implementing the whole Greenleaf family and saying that they are okay with that type of lifestyle. So the bishop admits to Grace that he did set the fire. And he said that the church was a dump, and Grace asks why didn't they sell it, and he says that he didn't know what they were going to do, but then Uncle Mike came along and said he had a plan. So I guess the plan was to burn the building down and collect the insurance money, but he swears that they didn't know that there was anybody in the building when they set it on fire. So Grace questions why he wants to preach, with all this going on, and he lets her know that he isn't seeking perfection, that he just wants to do what he's always known to do, which is, deliver the word of God. So Lady Mae goes to see Daddy McCready to ask him for a favor. And this is where it got really weird for me. He looks up at her and tells her, that she was always sweet. And Lady Mae looks at him like she is totally repulsed and knows that he is completely out of his mind. And so he starts saying that she was his sweet yellow daisy and was always so sweet. Instead of, she's a high yellow heifer and a bastard child like he was doing on the season last year. And so he then reaches up and kisses her, unlike a father would kiss his daughter. And I swear she almost vomited because I almost vomited. I'm like, oh God, so Lady Mae was molested. And I guess Mike got it from his daddy. And then I'm like praying that it doesn't come out that Mike was also molesting Lady Mae when she was coming up, because I don't think I'll be able to watch the show after that because it's just becoming too much. So Bishop Greenleaf learns that the DA has dropped the charges against him, and we learn that Daddy McCready has refused to testify. So the bishop vows to never ever lie to Mae again or keep secrets from her, and I guess Lady Mae really does love the bishop and the church more than anything in the world. And I just pray that all it was a kiss, that she didn't let that man do anything else to her, but they say this kind of stuff be going on in the church. Then we go back to Mavis and Alonzo, and it's the next day, of course, and they're waking up from their drunken stupor, and she's arguing with him about the way he's arranging some song, and I'm thinking, like, it's 2017, well, I don't know what year it is on this show, but the music that she's trying to get him to play just seems so 1950s and stuck in the past, and I think that's kind of probably his whole thing, like he's not feeling this little bluesy blues that she's trying to get him to play. So then she asks him, did he sign with this record company? And he insists that he didn't talk to any agents or anybody at the record company, but that he did talk to the bishop, and the bishop told him to leave Mavis alone. So then Charity has had the baby, and I guess they are having a sip and see because they, are inviting people over, and they got balloons and everything, and, because she's already had the baby. And I think Phaedra said that when you have the shower after the baby, then that's a sip and see. So Jacob comes over, and he's trying to talk to the dad, but the dad refuses to speak to him or even acknowledge his presence. And then Lady Mae is like, don't you hear your son talking to you? And then Jacob says that, him and his family are going to be moving out, and that Carissa had actually gone over to a parish that's owned by Triumph to give it, look it over and see if it'll suit their needs. So Lady Mae doesn't want them to move, but the bishop says that it's time for them to move, and that a man needs to be able to prepare for his family and have his own house. So Aunt Mavis shows up, and she's there to curse the bishop out for telling her man to leave her. And Lord, Mavis gets to spilling the tea and just telling everybody business. She said that she was sleeping in the shed as a little girl while Mae was getting new dresses, going out of town with their daddy, and was sleeping up in the house. And then she accuses Lady Mae of knowing that Mike was molesting Faith the whole time and keeping it a secret. And then she said something to the bishop, but I missed that. But she was just putting it all out on the table. So then after they, get her out of the house, the bishop says that he contributed to her showing up. And Lady Mae lets him know that, she lowered herself, to beg her dad not to testify against him or implicate him in the crime, and like this is the thanks that she gets. So it's Sunday at Calvary, and Carlton has the choir rocking, and Bishop Greenleaf is really, feeling the spirit, and so he gets up to preach. He's shaking really bad, and you can see Grace in the background, and she notices like how bad the trembles are getting in his hands. So she has a look of concern on her face. Then Basie Skanks comes in to see him after the service to deliver a message, and they throw a few jabs at each other, and then Skanks tells him that he is going to pull him like a weed and throw him on God's fire. And then something I said last season was true. So Basie Skanks lets Bishop Greenleaf know that the guy that died, the Darryl Green guy that died in the fire, was actually his father. And I was just like, oh my God. So now that I know that that was correct, now I just need to know what was the relationship between the bishop and Mavis, because I still contend that those two were dating each other and Lady May stole him from Mavis. And that is where all this resentment and all this stuff is coming from. So it was another good episode. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I will get with you guys next week for another great episode of Greenleaf. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.